It's another day here at the Comeback Team Studios. This is your boy, Bek Lover, and welcome to another edition of the Bek Lover Podcast. There's so much going on in our world. There's so many places you can get your information, but I figured maybe you guys want to listen to this asshole, Bek Lover, the Bek Lover Podcast, where you might learn a thing or two about life. I select the most important stories that I think are important, that I hope that you'll think are important. I read you the headlines, kind of give you a quick understanding of what's going on, and give you my twist on things and where they might be going. So welcome, 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 welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are around the world. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We have tons of content, interviews, all types of crazy stuff, and a lot more coming your way. You can also listen to this podcast if you don't want to look at my ugly face on any podcast platform, and especially Spotify. You can go there, and there's also video episodes there also. You could also just go to my website, beklover.com. In any event, there's a lot going on, so let's get down to it, my friends. Interesting times. Interesting times indeed, my friends, as the world continues to edge further into the abyss. Here on the domestic front in America, talks of a potential civil war more than ever. There's a movie coming out about it also. I find that to be a little peculiar. Or maybe it's predictive programming. And, you know, everything that's been happening in Texas, we're going to dive deep into that for a little bit, speak about what's going on, what may happen, and will Texas become the Lone Star State again? The Middle East has been boiling ever since October 7th with the war that has broken out between Israel and the Palestinians once again. It's been a very bloody conflict with thousands and thousands and thousands of deaths on the Palestinian side. The humanitarian crisis continues to deepen, and an overwhelming large number of children and civilians have been the victims of this war. The American people seem to be really fed up, and I'm one of them. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're sick and tired of paying all these taxes that only seem to go towards war. Hope you weren't keeping your headphones on too loud there. Again, hit the sub button, check out the other content, and I'm going to get into today's headlines right now. So, I'm going to start off in Texas. Now, for those of you that don't know, I was born in Texas. I lived the very early years of my life there. I think we left when I was 5. My mother was from the Bronx, New York, and Jersey, and we eventually ended up back here, and that's why I have this lovely yo instead of a y'all. In any event, Texas has taken the stage front and center, and there's been a standoff that's been going on between the governor and the National Guard of Texas, along with other states that are going to help reinforce the Texas border with Mexico. Since this current administration hasn't done a damn thing about it, they've just left the border wide open. Now, everyone seems to hate the orange man on the left, but the orange man, a.k.a. Trump, was trying to build a wall, trying to increase security and stability down there, and everyone was against it. Now, just let them come right on up. Let these people just come right on in. The funny thing is, for those of you that live on welfare, you know, if the American people that actually work for a living, and I'm not saying that everyone on welfare has equal opportunity or can work, and I do believe that we have a social responsibility to help people, but I think there needs to be like something. I don't think anybody should get anything for nothing. Like if you're sick or disabled or not able to for mental reasons, I think we have a responsibility. But I think taking money out of all of our paychecks to support people that never want to come out of the welfare system, because if you make just enough over that, you lose the free apartment, you lose the free food. I'm online all the time, and I've gone through some very difficult times in my life where I was unemployed, the Great Recession of 2008, et cetera, and I sat when I had very low funds in my account as a young man right out of college, and I watched people swiping for $700-800 right in front of me in Walmart with EBT cards. Then you got people that scheme the system. They're married to someone, for example, and rather than reporting that they're married or getting married, because everyone's scared to get married on paper now because divorce is a fucking nightmare in this country, so they stay separate, and the spouse puts that she's, even though they live together, that they're not living together. I mean, there's so many ways that this system is broken. There needs to be some pay for play. If we're all going to be taking money out of our paychecks all the time to support people, they need to start like helping too. Maybe helping whatever it is. Everyone has some type of gift that they can give back. In any event, I went off on a rant there, and I want to apologize. Back to Texas. The calls for Texas to defend itself and defy the federal government have set fire to a long simmering fight over states' rights, emboldening right-wing figures. This is reported by TexasTribune.org. Daniel Miller felt encouraged last week as fears of a new civil war trended online. And it has been all over online. There's been memes, there's been posts, there's been pictures, there's been debates, there's been audio debates going on Twitter Spaces. And the new civil war trending online is a coalition of powerful Republicans coalesced behind Governor Greg Abbott's standoff with the Biden administration. As the longtime leader of the Texas secessionist movement, Miller has for decades argued that Texas is in a strange hold by the federal government that eventually would prompt enough popular support for a vote to leave the union. It validates and confirms the position we've had all along, which is that if Texas ever wants to truly secure its border, the only way we're going to do it is as an independent and self-governing nation. Now, I can tell you, if Texas succeeds from the union, I was born there, and I hope that we'll honor, because in America, like, as long as you're born here, you're automatically a citizen, even if your family came here illegally. So imagine, like, you know, some people think, like, maybe they're, like, allowing these migrants in because they're going to do something this quickly. No, I think the ploy is for the next 10 years. You see, if you have, like, 8 million, 10 million people come from nations that have high birth rates, and they have children here, 3, 4, 5, so 10 million. Let's say they have 3 children, that's 30 million in the next 10 years. They automatically become American. And maybe they have a little bit more loyalty to a certain political party that allowed them to come in here. Do you see how maybe in the next few elections that can have a significant impact on the political system here in the United States of America? So people think like it's no big deal. Well, it depends. It depends. If you want to stay in welfare the rest of your life and never actually rise up to the American dream, study. My family came here with nothing. My grandmother and my grandfather raised their children in the worst parts of the fucking Bronx. They all made it out. They all went to school. They all became successful. People want to use these excuses. Well, I was from this place. No. You have people coming to this country from places that make our ghettos look like Disney World. And I'm not sitting here and saying it ain't hard and that there isn't becoming what you call a product of your environment where you're just surrounded by violence and violence begets violence. And the inner cities in our city have been neglected for too long. And no one's really trying to fix them. It's like we want to keep people enslaved in this like welfare system where we don't give them enough inspiration to rise up, because if they make just a little bit more than what they would get off welfare, we take all those benefits away from them. So I don't blame the people. I want to clarify. I don't blame anyone that's on welfare for being scared and staying there, because it's like, if I make just a little bit more, I lose the free house, I lose the food, I lose the health care. It's terrifying. And these people are trapped. So I want to make sure I'm not coming off harsh here, because I do understand the paradigm. The problem is we are turning this country into two classes, extremely rich and extremely poor. And the middle class is being destroyed completely, especially in the last 4 years. Have you been to the grocery store lately? Have you been down to your local park in New York City overrun by these illegal aliens that they're just allowing to transcend? So Texas is the front line. And if you don't think that these migrants have an impact on your bottom line, I promise you, the cost of insurance is going to go higher. The price of health care is going to go much higher. Gavin Newsom's giving them free health care in California. Where do you think that money comes from? You. So if you're tired of all that money coming out of your paycheck, maybe you should open up your big fucking mouth, and everyone can be on the same side here. I don't see how this makes a difference whether you're Republican or Democrat. If you're an American and you don't understand the economic impact that this will have on all of us, our infrastructure, everything is in trouble. And now we're going to spend billions and billions of dollars. New York City itself, just New York City is spending billions on these migrants. And then you wonder why they have a congestion toll that all of a sudden came out of nowhere. I promise you it's not about traffic. It's a new way for them to figure out how to fuck you and pay for people that shouldn't even be here because they didn't come here legally, draining the system that me and you have to pay taxes. And if we don't, me and you end up in jail while they're out there eating and filling up their fucking shopping carts at Walmart. And that's what the fuck this is about on the Texas border. This affects you if you're on welfare, and this affects you if you're rich, and this affects you if you're middle class, this affects you if you're black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. This hurts us as a nation, and it also puts us at risk. And it is extremely unpopular in some ways. I don't know what people think. I don't think people know how to fucking think critically and protect this nation, my opinion. So basically, to save us time reading this whole article, there's a lot of Texans that want to succeed from the union. And I got to be honest with you, if they did and legally could do it without conflict, they would do really well. They've done studies on this. Texas would do phenomenal on its own. It has a really good economy. You know why? They don't have state income tax. They don't have these stupid laws. They promote business the right way down there. And they follow the Constitution for the most part. If they broke off the union and there wasn't a war, I would move to Texas. And I would hope that they would honor the fact that I was born there. Because New York City is being run like complete garbage. It has become shit. I am ashamed of the city that I loved so much. Being purposely destroyed in front of our eyes. Completely destroyed over the last few years, and not by accident. It is disgusting what they have done to New York City. The Hill reports, can Biden shut down the border right now? President Biden is adopting a newly hawkish rhetoric on migration, pledging twice over the weekend to shut down the border if given the power by bipartisan Senate legislation that is still under negotiation. Now, I am noticing this debate online where, it's up to like the senators and the congressmen and the congress ladies. These people are the biggest problem in our country. I promise you, it's not the man in the Oval Office. Whether you like Biden or you don't like him, Trump, it doesn't matter. Until we fix Capitol Hill, until we put term limits, until we make lobbying illegal, until we monitor these pieces of trash that want to monitor us and everything we say and what we do and what we think and how we make our money, how we spend. Until we monitor these clowns the way they monitor us, and I don't care if you're left or right on this, how are you going to fight me on this one? Until we monitor these corrupt scoundrels that have been in office for 30 years. You don't think you see people for 30 years, you're all in the same building. You don't think they all work together? Dinners down the block right off Capitol Hill, down at the local pub, members only places, and do these backdoor deals that fuck us as Americans. There is no good side, guys. I've been saying this for years. For those of you that want to hate me, thinking I'm a Republican or a Democrat, I'm neither. I'm an American that's pissed. In any event, that claim drew fire from both the left and the right. Immigration advocates were shocked at Biden's pivot, and Republicans said Biden doesn't need the Senate bill to shut down the border. And I got to understand, if it's an emergency, you have millions of people. What country wouldn't declare an emergency if they had millions of fucking people going over their fucking border? It's common sense. Even a 10-year-old would be like, I think we should close the border down. If I was president, I would close the border. What the fuck? It makes me think of when Trump was in office, he had the Muslim ban, as he called it. And as a Muslim, I was very offended by it. But he was able to stop flights from certain countries. He didn't have to get a vote on it. So my question is, when are we going to secure our border and stop wasting billions of dollars on people and things that have nothing to do with us? We are in trouble. The middle class is in trouble. The average American is in trouble. Children going to school in New York City were thrown out a couple weeks ago to let these illegal aliens into their school. Okay? What are we waiting for? Until we have nothing left, guys? Moving on now to the next conflict. Still going on, Gaza and Israel. Palestine and Israel. The Haaretz says a ceasefire in Gaza, release of Israeli hostages could happen as early as next week. London-based newspaper Al Arabi and Al Jadid reports that a deal between Hamas and Israel could be reached within days. And I am truly praying for this to happen. I cannot take seeing the images of what has happened over there anymore. The amount of children that have lost their lives. I do believe the force used by Israel was excessive. No offense to my Jewish friends, family. I love you guys. This last war that you guys have fought with them, I believe you kind of went over, you went a little crazy. You went a little bit too much. It's kind of like you get in a fight with someone, they hit you once, and then you just chop off their head, basically. I just can never justify, as someone that's lost his family in war, I am strictly and strongly against war. I hate war, and I can't stand collateral damage. For me, it's never excusable. I don't think it would be justified by God either. And I think anyone that's responsible for taking life will answer to the Creator. So you better have a really good fucking reason. You can't just say, well, there was some guy in there hiding and he used them as human shields. Like, I'm sorry, I can't stand behind that. It's just excessive. And I think it definitely hurt the image that people had. You know, regardless of what people thought about October 7th. Yes, if someone kidnapped citizens from a country and killed them, there's going to be a response. I don't think anyone's arguing that. I think what people are arguing is that the response was very excessive in many people's opinions, and including mine. I think it's just way, way too much carnage. Way too much. Especially being the more powerful military, you know, there was, I think, a much better way that they could have handled this. And America doesn't seem to give a fuck. And I don't think the foreign powers give a fuck. And they're to blame for this also. And if you don't care about hearing about Israel anymore and in Gaza, well, just know that it is impacting your life. Besides the daily protests in place like New York and LA and people trying to shut down highways, which I don't care what you're protesting, you can hurt innocent people by shutting down highways. Besides maybe causing an accident, you could be hurting people who might have a medical condition or get to their children. Like restricting that type of travel is very dangerous. Now, how does it affect all of us? Because of once this conflict started and then Yemen with the Houthis attacking ships in the sea, there's been an impact on shipping. And this impact means less ships getting through means less supplies. Less supplies creates short-term inflation. There's more demand, less of the product. Prices skyrocket. The impact on commodities due to chaos in the Red Sea, reported by Reuters. Attacks on shipping vessels by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in the crucial Red Sea shipping lane have disrupted shipping in the Suez Canal, the fastest sea route between Asia and Europe. Data from the S&P Global showed the Suez Canal route accounts for 14.8%, sorry about that, of all Europe and Middle East and North Africa imports. In response, some shipping companies have instructed vessels to instead sail around Southern Africa. Like that's like a really long, much longer journey. Early indications suggest ocean freight shipping rates are set to increase further in early February amid the ongoing crisis. The number of tankers in the Suez Canal fell over 50% in the week starting January 15th. So that means fuel's going to skyrocket too. Energy markets remain the most vulnerable to the ongoing attacks, as almost 12% of the total oil trade goes through the Red Sea, sending oil prices above $80 per barrel. As much as 8.2 million barrels per day of crude oil and oil products traverse the Red Sea in January through November period of 2023. Okay? That's how it affects your life. Okay? Prices are going up. And remember, the cost of fuel goes up, the cost of everything goes up because fuel is used to transport, ship, make, produce petroleum-based products, roofing shingles. It all revolves around oil. What also has been going on in the last week is the International Court of Justice. There was lawsuits filed against Israel accusing them of the G word. Starts with a G and rhymes with ride. I just don't want to trigger any type of blockage on my account. So the word is G, rhymes with pride. When you eliminate a lot of people, especially civilians. Well, they were accused by foreign nations, South Africa being one of them. And Uganda says the judge's dissent from the World Court ruling on Israel does not reflect its position. They had a trial going on. Uganda has distanced itself from the opinion written by a Ugandan judge on the International Court of Justice, dissenting from the panel's ruling in South Africa's genocide case. Whoops, I said it. Against Israel, and said the remarks do not reflect Uganda's position. So South Africa took Israel to court and is claiming that they are basically doing a genocide and running an apartheid nation with brutal tactics. Who better to know than, I guess, a country that lived under that, I guess. I guess if South Africa felt that strongly about it, and remember, it's the country of South Africa. It's not like a few people from South Africa. Like, the country is officially suing the country of Israel. And many people say that even if the ruling doesn't go in favor, they feel that this is South Africa's way of bringing attention to the conflict and showing what's really going on there. Very interesting. So pay attention to that case. Now, remember, this thing started in Gaza. You've already had conflict in Lebanon with this. Syria's flaring up. Then you have the Houthis in Iran, which basically declared war on Israel. And now it looks like Jordan is being pulled into this. And we've had some flare-ups in Iraq also. If you remember, they attacked some of the bases. Guys, it's like we're basically going to an all-out war in the Middle East, is what it looks like. USnews.com. 4 ways Biden might respond to the drone attack in Jordan. A U.S. response to the Iran-backed drone attack that killed 3 American troops must be resolute, but it should also be restrained. After the tragic death of 3 American service members in Jordan due to a drone attack by an Iran-backed Iraqi resistance group, President Joe Biden must respond. At one level, this tragedy is no shock, not even counting the Houthis, who are going after the shipping in the Red Sea region, have attacked American forces in the region more than 100 times over the past several months. But since Americans died in this attack, a response is required. So since Americans died, a response is required. Yeah, that's what happens when we invade other countries and we take people's lives and we talk about weapons of mass destruction in a country that never had them, and 1 million people die there, they're going to want to respond to us too. And guess what? They're never going to forget. Just like, God forbid, someone took out one of your family members. You would never forgive and you would never forget. And if you were Albanian, you'd probably want revenge to the last day that you're alive. You would seek that revenge, probably. So that's how a lot of the world works. Like, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. And I'm never going to stop until I get you. And what we've done is allow our politicians to take us on conflicts all over the world and create millions and millions of people who hate us with everything that's in them. We've given them a way to come through our southern border. And don't be surprised, God forbid, something happens, because we've been saying this shit for years and nobody wants to fucking listen. We have a lot of people that want us dead, want us destroyed. Corrupt politicians started wars all over the world in our name, which makes us targets for these people who want revenge. Because most of these people that die are civilians. They didn't do anything wrong. They were caught in the crossfire between our corporate wars and bullshit in the name of freedom. And they lost family, and they lost their kid, and they lost their mom, and they lost their wife, and they lost their husband, and they lost someone that they love. And just ask yourself, what would you do if someone wiped out your whole family? That's the type. And that's why they say violence begets violence, especially when it's unjustified. So God help us, and God protect us, and may God give us a leader who will do what's right for the American people and for the world, because we have not had one in power in a very long time. And that's one thing I'll give the orange man. He didn't start no new wars for 4 years. And we sure as hell didn't have all these fucking conflicts going on. And we weren't about to get in a civil war. Speaking of corruption, reported by Al Jazeera, global corruption fight faltering as rule of law declines. Okay? So if you think things are bad in America, here's the funny thing. We're not the worst, supposedly. Global efforts to fight corruption are faltering as the rule of law retreats, Transparency International said in its latest report. There has been a global decline in justice and the rule of law since 2016. You don't say. Really? I don't know. I just had this bad feeling in my heart that fucking everything was great out there. I thought the politicians are really doing everything they can in their power to make sure that we're good and we're having the best people look after us, and they only care about us and not their own interests. They won't sell us out for an envelope or a briefcase under the table. I'm surprised at this report. Corruption will continue to thrive until justice systems can punish wrongdoing and keep governments in check. Leaders should fully invest in and guarantee the independence of institutions that uphold the law and tackle corruption. In many countries, obstacles to justice for victims of corruption persist. It is time to break the barriers and ensure people can access justice effectively. You know, like not make whistleblowers disappear or punish them or destroy their lives or threaten them. You know, like having government agencies like the feds that are supposed to look into our politicians and make sure that their family members ain't doing business in foreign countries and backdoor deals that don't put the American people's interests at first, that there would be full transparency for the American people and anyone else. Yeah. Now, if you think we're the worst, because it definitely feels like that, I went in and looked at the chart, and you would think like the countries you would never imagine are like the most corrupt. Denmark, first place. Finland. So I guess these Nordic countries like Denmark, Finland, New Zealand, Norway, these fuckers up in Denmark, Finland, and Norway. Did you ever think that they would be the most corrupt people government-wise? They weren't even on my fucking radar. I actually thought the opposite of them. Singapore, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Germany, it's all in Europe. Ireland, Canada, you motherfucker, you're number 12, but you have that asshole that's in charge of you. The guy that looks like Fidel Castro's son, because he probably might be his son, because his mother used to sit there and, I don't know, hang out with the guy. She used to fly from Canada to go hang out with Fidel Castro, a fucking dictator, tyrant, communist motherfucker. Yeah. So I'm not surprised about that. Estonia, okay, not surprised. Australia, Hong Kong. You know, I thought where my family, now America was number 24. We're the 24 worst for corruption, supposedly. That means that some of these people go down. I guess they go down when they go against the establishment. Israel's number 33. Italy was number 42. Montenegro, 63. Bulgaria. You know, I was like happy. Kosovo. Shout out to my Albanians. You guys weren't that high up on the list. Now, if you ask them over there, they think the same thing. Maybe there's just less to steal there. Albania, you should be proud. 98. I would have thought Albania would have been in the top 20. No. We're number 98. I guess we're not that bad. And, yeah, the last most corrupt out of the 177, Venezuela. I mean, how does this fucking thing make sense? How did Venezuela make it below, like, America for corruption? I don't know, man. Who does these surveys? Moving on. There was an aid organization, this is reported by Political. They were helping bring aid to the Palestinians in Gaza, but they were somehow linked to the October 7th attack. So they cut back funding, and that has affected the people that are suffering there because there's less aid now. So there's the pause has alarmed progressives and those worried about humanitarian conditions in Gaza. Proponents of resuming aid said that at a sustained pause could be catastrophic for millions of people who rely on the assistance provided by the UNRWA. So basically a, United Nations aid group provided nearly $1 billion to the agency in the past 3 years. So they lost a really big lifeline. And like, this is really sad because this is, this affects the people that are there that are starving, thirsty, wounded. And so this is going on right now, this debate of whether they should allow them back in. France still been protesting. Farmers encircle Paris with tractors, barricades, vowing a siege over grievances. Reported by ABC News. Protesting farmers have encircled Paris with tractor barricades in a battle with the government over the industry's future. Protesting farmers encircled Paris with traffic snarling barricades Monday, using hundreds of lumbering tractors and mounds of hay bales to block highways. That's how this New Year's resolution's going, my friends. So France basically is completely entrenched by their farmers. And they have this big protest going on. And they're supposed to be hosting the Summer Olympics in 6 months. And protests elsewhere in France promised another difficult week for new Prime Minister Gabriel Attal, less than a month into the job. Protesters said Attal's attempts last week at pro-agricultural measures fell short of their demands that producing food should be more lucrative, easier, and fairer. So that's going on in France, which will affect their cost of food. And if you want some really good wine from France, which I don't drink, nor do I advocate alcohol. I'm against it, actually. But if you want that bottle of wine from France, it might get a little more expensive if these farmers don't get back to work. Johnny, you understand what I'm saying to you? The Bahamas, Jamaica, two places I've been to in my life. The Bahamas has become dangerous. Yes. Paradise Island ain't such paradise anymore. This is reported by Yahoo News. So if you're Bahamian, take it easy on Bek Lover. I'm just reporting the news here, what these people are saying. Maybe it's still safe. I don't know. But here's what they're saying about you guys. A significant increase in crime in the Bahamas and Jamaica has led the U.S. State Department to issue a travel advisory warning for the two Caribbean destinations. That's the Bahamas and Jamaica. In the past week, the State Department has warned U.S. citizens to exercise increased caution when visiting the Bahamas, where 2 killings over the weekend added to an already alarming homicide rate, and to reconsider travel to Jamaica. Now, I've been to Jamaica, and I grew up with Jamaicans, and they are tough people, man. I fucking love them. I love reggae music. I love everything they do, man. Dance hall, as they call it. And you see some of the crazy dances they do. Let me tell you, I went there in 2003. I had a very nice experience. I went into the countryside by Negril. I went to a resort, which I will not tell you the name of. I went on an experiment, and it was not so fun. I enjoyed my time there. The people were great, and I did not feel in danger, but I did notice extreme poverty. Now, as everyone's struggling in these days, it's not just Americans. Imagine when we have a cold, the third world dies. People are struggling. Inflation doesn't just hit the American, it hits everybody. People are becoming very desperate. We need to be careful, not only in Jamaica and the Bahamas, even in our own backyards. So be vigilant, my friends. Pray to God for protection and be well armed legally. So, violent crimes such as home invasions, armed robberies, assaults, and homicides are common. Sexual assaults occur frequently, including at all-inclusive resorts. So even in the resorts, local police often do not respond effectively to the serious criminal incidents. They don't even respond. You know, so many people in this country hate law enforcement. They don't even respond in other countries. You know what's funny? If you hate law enforcement that much, I pray you never need them. I pray you don't need them to come and help you when you're in trouble. Because it's kind of like you want to shit on them. Now, I understand if you want to reform and this and that and make sure that they're doing their job the right way, because there is bad apples out there. But to dismember them, to what was the word they were using? Defund them, has not proven well in New York City at all. The Bahamas, the number of killings aren't as high, but still worrisome for the island nation of about 408,000 residents. Since the beginning of the year, there have been 19 homicides in Nassau. The killing spree, according to the State Department, is due to increasing gang-on-gang violence. Murders have occurred at all hours, including broad daylight on the streets. Retaliatory gang violence has been the primary motive in 2024. The travel advisory is at level 2, which recommends increased caution. So if you're going to head to those two places, it is winter. This is peak season for tourism there. Just be careful. My family and friends go to Paradise Island a lot. I went there 2 times in my life. I had a very enjoyable stay at Paradise Island. Very expensive. Their casino, I couldn't win a hand if my life depended on it. The Ukraine. Interesting thing going on there. There's a feud between Ukraine's president and the army chief, and it's boiling. This is reported by The Economist. Anxiety at the very top of Ukraine's wartime government has been laid bare after rumors swept Kiev on January 29th that the president, Volodymyr Zelensky, was about to fire his armed forces commander, General Valery Zaluzhnyi. I think I said that right. Following weeks of reported tensions. To oust one of the most popular figures in Ukraine would be deeply controversial and would mark a pivotal moment in Ukraine's conflict with Russia. Mr. Zelensky has not announced that the general is being replaced, but that does not mean the general's job is safe. It may simply be that his replacement has not yet been found. So that would be a big shakeup during that conflict. Natural gas. Up here, at least in the Northeast, We use a lot of natural gas. A lot of us have, flame stove tops and stuff like that. It's used to heat homes. So Biden paused the natural gas exports. Does this fix climate change? This is reported by Vox.com. The Biden administration last week announced that it was pausing the permitting process for some new natural gas export projects, including a facility that would be the second largest gas export terminal in the U.S. It's a move the White House said will help the U.S. meet its climate change goals, but it's not clear how it will affect the economy, energy markets, or the environment. So we're already in a bad economy, and these guys want to make moves that can affect everything right now and make things even more expensive. He also shut down some key pipelines right in the first week when he came into office, which did not help any of us. We're seeing a little bit of lowering of gas, and I would have to guess the reason these prices went down a little bit is because it's an election year. It's an election year. It's an election year. Till the Houthis keep attacking ships, then the prices go back up. The prices go back up thanks to Israel and its war with Hamas. And this is why it's probably gonna go back up. It's gonna go back up. The price of gas, which affects the price of food, which makes your life fucking suck. This is reported by the Daily Beast. Representative Cori Bush confirms feds are probing her security spending. The Missouri Democrat is cooperating with the Department of Justice, but blamed conservatives for filing frivolous complaints regarding her campaign spending. The day after a mysterious House floor announcement of a federal subpoena for an unnamed Democratic lawmaker, Cori Bush publicly confirmed on Tuesday that her campaign spending is under investigation by the Department of Justice, the Federal Elections Commission, and the House Committee of Ethics. A mysterious House floor announcement. So imagine she showed up to work. She's probably rocking Prada, rocking some Louis Vuitton. She's probably driving a $130,000 car. That's actually not even expensive anymore. You buy a Hyundai for that now. Probably like $150,000, $180,000 car. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going to investigate you. First and foremost, I hold myself, my campaign, and my position to the highest levels of integrity. I also believe in transparency, which is why I can confirm that the Department of Justice is reviewing my campaign spending on security services. In all, the Bush campaign has spent, not George Bush, remember this lady, nearly $780,000 on personal security since 2019. $780,000. That's 5 years. That's roughly, is it that crazy if you think about it? What does she afford? One bodyguard? I don't think it's that crazy. My question is, where the fuck she gets $780,000 from on her salary? Is this money that the state gives them for protection? Like, where is the money coming from? Bush campaign has tapped a revolving cast of security consultants, which includes reputable groups as well as less established and quite controversial entities. One top contractor for Bush has been Nathan L. Davis, an unlicensed bodyguard who has spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and claimed to be 109 trillion years old with power to summon tornadoes. This is her bodyguard. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. While those bodies act on outside complaints, DOJ has a higher bar for launching an investigation. The DOJ declined to comment for this article. So, yeah. The truth of the matter is so many of these reps get in, they stay in for a long time. Chuck Schumer, fucking Chucky. He was dancing to Macho, Macho Man in the YMCA when Trump lost. And how's New York doing now? I don't know. This is an alarming story here in New York. Daily News reporting Astoria Brothers. Astoria is a suburb of Queens. It's one of my favorite, actually. It's heavily Eastern European. Great restaurants, great cafes if you've never been there. Astoria Brothers busted for guns, explosives, and celebrity hit list. 2 Queens brothers have been arrested after a raid on their Astoria apartment turned up numerous illegal guns and homemade explosives. Angelo Hatzigales, 51, and his brother Andrew, 39, have been detained since January 17th, Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz announced Monday. The city is safer today. We cannot measure the number of lives that we were saved, but we do know that these weapons will never hurt anyone. Cops found several 3D printed ghost guns in the apartment on 36th Avenue, including 2 assault-style rifles, several handguns, and partially assembled AK-47s. The cache weapons included explosives, untraceable 3D printed ghost guns that potential to wreak serious trouble. 8 of the homemade bombs were operational, according to the authorities, and cops evacuated the entire building during the raid. Small piece of paper also said, "Wipe out the earth, wipe out the earth." They had a hit list, which included no names, but it said cops, judges, politicians, celebrities, and banker scum. Well, thank God they got them before they got us, my friends. Here's a pretty trashy story. Woman falls in a dumpster and gets compacted by the garbage truck. This is by the Daily Beast. New Hampshire woman fell into a dumpster at her Manchester housing complex on trash collection day and was picked up by a local garbage truck, where fire officials say she was compacted up to 4 times before the driver noticed she was inside. The woman, who has not been identified, was described by her neighbors as a 6-year-old resident who was rushed to the hospital in serious condition Monday, but was expected to survive. In 32 years, I've never seen anything like this in my whole career. It's alarming because you don't really think it's true. You don't think it really happens. But in this day and age, times are tough and people do different things. So this was definitely one of those books. You know what's sad? If I had to guess here what happened, it sounds like someone that was homeless, man. Homeless or recycling, because a lot of times they'll go in to get the recyclables. You see it all the time in New York. There's people with these huge garbage bags with shopping carts that go around picking up plastic bottles and cans to go turn it into the recycling to get 5 cents a can, just so they can, get some extras in their life. So I don't even think it's a funny story. I actually think it's pretty tragic. Thank God she survived. Maybe we don't have to pick out of the garbage if we weren't spending trillions of dollars to blow up other countries and destroy the fucking world and millions of lives. Maybe we could take care of people like this woman so she wouldn't have to rummage through the trash. The problem is the only trash that needs to be taken out right now is with votes, these lowlives that are in power for too long. So remember, this woman who had to go through the garbage, it's because of the way you vote that she suffers. Ex-IRS contractor sentenced to 5 years in prison for leaking Trump's tax records, NPR reports. A former contractor for the IRS who pleaded guilty to leaking tax information to news outlets about former President Donald Trump and thousands of the country's wealthiest people was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Charles Edward Littlejohn, 38 of D.C., gave data to the New York Times ProPublica between 2018 and 2020 in leaks that appeared to be unparalleled to the IRS's history. Well, I bet you he thought he was cool. Being cool when he's in jail for the next 5 fucking years. Hope it was worth it. Now, in this story, the reason I want to talk about this story is because there's a lot of you out there. There's a lot of you out there who smoke weed and you don't think there's any consequences. The truth of the matter is, all drugs that are illegal have blood on their hands. Not just these 6 poor people that passed away. People.com, 6 men found dead in Mojave Desert were shot in alleged marijuana dispute. The 6 people found dead in California's Mojave Desert last week were shot and killed in dispute over marijuana. In a Monday press conference, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department revealed that 5 people were arrested in connection with the homicide, which followed an alleged dispute over the drug. We are confident this appears to be a dispute over marijuana, which resulted in the murders. For all intents and purposes, it looks like an illicit marijuana was the driving force behind these murders. Now, in many states, New York, New Jersey, Colorado, Vegas, Nevada, if you're in a state that marijuana is legal, you should not be purchasing black market weed because stuff like this happens. Imagine across the border what goes on in these countries like Mexico and Colombia and all these places. The amount of people that get killed, the poor people that work in those industries, the traffickers that risk their lives. People get caught in crossfire between rivaling gangs. You're only helping making the world you live in not safe. We don't know how they grow this product. We don't know what kind of chemicals they use. We don't even know what the fuck's in it. You're smoking shit that might get you high, might do the trick. It might be just a little cheaper than what you can buy in the store. But if I was smoking marijuana regularly, I would go to the local store where it's legal at a dispensary and buy it. And at least some of that money goes to help the state that we live in. And you know what you're getting. You know where to go back if something goes wrong. And you should not be buying weed on the streets anymore. Sorry, guys. That's just my opinion. Political.com. Trump puts on full court press for big-time donors and nabs more than a few. Donald Trump is aggressively courting potential mega donors to his campaign, targeting those who have kept their powder dry so far this cycle, and at least one who was the biggest backer of his chief primary rival. The former president set to dine with more than 24 of the party's biggest check writers on Thursday evening at Palm Beach, Florida, home of billionaire investor John Paulson, a Trump ally who has pledged to support his campaign. And while in Vegas on Saturday, he met with several Republican mega donors, hotel executive Don Ahern, casino billionaires Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta, and aerospace tycoon Robert Bigelow, who was Ron DeSantis' biggest donor in the primary. So he's getting his guns, money, ready for the battle to take the office again. So many of you think he's Jesus Christ and that he's going to win the election this year and he's going to save America. No one can save this country except me and you, my friends. We have to care about each other. We have to do what's right. We have to do what's justice. We have to call a spade a spade. The amount of corruption that sits in that Capitol Hill, no one man in that Oval Office can fix in one term. Sorry. There is no Batman. You're Batman. House Republicans take key vote toward impeaching Mayorkas as border becomes campaign issue. I should have read this earlier, but they're taking a key vote Tuesday towards impeaching the Homeland Security Advisor Alejandro Mayorkas over what they call his willful and systematic refusal to enforce immigration laws. And it's true. How the fuck is the homeland more secure when this agency is just allowing them to come over the border? And meanwhile, they want to basically, it seems like, attack Americans more, how they talk online, instead of securing a border where evil people can come over and do something horrible to us. I feel like they're more worried about patrolling us, Americans, than fucking foreigners. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. This cool video shows a footage capture fighter aircraft activating its cloaking device. And people have to say a lot about it. Well, it wasn't a cloaking device, but the video went viral. And you can see in the video, it looks like it's cloaking to camouflage, but it's not. It's actually an effect of the wind and the way light bends at higher levels of the atmosphere as these jets are hitting sonic boom. So it's basically a shot of what it looks like when a jet breaks the sound barrier, also known as a sonic boom. Now, this bit of news I found to be a little disturbing. In Egypt, there's a renovation underway to restore some of the Great Pyramids, and you can see from the picture, it looks fucking horrible. They shouldn't even be touching those rocks. They've lasted this long without you, assholes. It's lasted this fucking long without you laying your filthy fucking paws on them. Maybe you should just leave it the way it is. It'll probably last another 10,000 years. And I don't think we're going to last another 100 the way we're going as a species. So why waste the money and the energy to make it look like fucking horrible? It looks like a fake. It looks fake the way they're restoring it. This is reported by the MiddleEastEye.net. So it says here, video showing an Egyptian official supervising restoration work at the Menkaure Pyramid near the Sphinx in Giza has triggered outrage from conservationists and social media users. In one video posted on Facebook, Mustafa Waziri, the Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Court Council of Antiquities, hailed the project of the century, with workers setting blocks of granite on the base of the pyramid. And you can see here more of the pictures. It just doesn't look right. Just leave them alone. I would have to agree with the people that are outraged. I found this story to be a little funny. A woman buys 5 identical lottery tickets, wins 5 times in one night. A Washington woman, this is reported by UPI.com, a Washington woman bought 4 identical tickets for the same lottery drawing and ended up winning 5 top prizes, a total of $50,000. So basically, which is weird, right? I mean, how do you buy 5 with the same amount of numbers? Interesting. Well, she's $50K richer. Congrats. And I want to finish with this story that hits home here in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. Family of New Jersey teen, this is reported by MSN.com, who died by suicide after bullying Sue's school. The family of a New Jersey teen who died by suicide after she was brutally attacked and cyberbullied by her classmates filed a lawsuit Monday accusing top school officials of negligence and failure to protect the victim. Adriana Kuch, or Kuck, Kush, I think Adriana Kush, 14, was attacked by fellow students at Central Regional High School in Bayville, New Jersey on February 1st, 2023. A recording of the incident was later shared on multiple social media platforms. Kush was hit in the face with a water bottle, punched and kicked by a group of students who allegedly conspired to commit the attack. According to the family's lawyers, she was found dead 2 days later. This is just simply heartbreaking. 4 students, all minors, were criminally charged on February 10th. Monday, lawsuit filed in Ocean County, New Jersey, accuses the District Board of Education and several officials, including now former district superintendent, the school principal, and anti-bullying specialist, of not doing enough to protect her. And here's some images of this sweet girl who unfortunately lost her life because people don't know how to act. Now, yes, they're teenagers, but the brutality that has become a part of our way of life, this bullying and treating people like shit, and then bringing it onto the internet. This is definitely one of the negative side effects of the internet, and it's destroying our children. And other children are seeing these videos and thinking that it's funny and putting laundry fucking pods in their mouth to do these stupid challenges on TikTok. And people like her lose their life because they're not strong enough at that age to know how to get out of that sad feeling that they have when something horrible like this happens to them. She was beaten at school, and then people put it up online to make fun of her for being beaten unconscious. If you're someone that likes to pick on people, I hope you die a slow death. You should be ashamed of yourself. And if you're someone that stands by and watches other people get bullied, that's whether they're children or adults, shame on you also. If you're someone that's strong and a true alpha, you must protect the weak. I stuck up for people in high school. Who the fuck is anyone to make fun of anybody? We're all God's children. We were all made the same, and we will all face that creator, that magnificent God, on the day of judgment. And I pray that God has mercy on her soul and her family finds peace. Remember, no matter what you've been through in this life, no matter how horrible it may seem, no matter how embarrassing the moment may be in your life, it is not worth giving up the rest of your life. And sometimes people are just weak or sad, or they don't see an end coming to a vicious cycle in their life, and they give up before it can get better. Sometimes we lose a loved one. It takes us years to get better. You can't just give up. Please, never give up. And if you are feeling suicidal, reach out to the suicide prevention hotline and speak to a professional. And I'll pray for you, and you pray for me. And this is another episode of the Bek Lover Podcast, where you might learn a thing or two about life. Check out all the podcasts of the past. We got guests coming on in the future. And check out my appearances on other people's shows. And we got a ton of content coming your way. Thank you for listening. Hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you next time on the Bek Lover Podcast. Bek Lover.